Hey, good morning guys, Tush coming at you. Saturday, May the 20th. Victoria Day weekend up here in Canada, so long weekend. Got a nice day today, nice and sunny, but still a little chilly. I think we got about a high of about 15 Celsius today. But I'm enjoying the sun because it's been a bit of a rainy week and a busy week at work, so I wasn't able to get out here, unfortunately, for most of the week. I did tinker around a little bit, but not too much. Not as much as I'd like. Anyway, T-minus 120 is where we're at on the calendar. So as you can see, still not anything done. It's basically just the way I left it on the table. And we've got this sitting over here. I've just sort of sprayed this down with some WD-40 so it doesn't rust. The cylinders don't rust. So we just got that sitting there. Anyway, I did do a little bit of research on this car that I wanted to share with you for anybody that might be interested. So let me go grab my notes and we'll take you through a few things I found out about this car. Okay guys, so a couple things I wanted to share with you on this car. Like I said, I've been doing some research on some of the history of this car. So the first I wanted to share with you was this website, ferretindustries.ca. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is because the previous owner, or the original owner of my car, was a gentleman by the name of Alec Purdy. So as you can see that, Alec Purdy was a builder, engineer, and driver for Ferret Industries, among other things. I mean, this was his sort of earlier career, and then he goes on to a whole bunch of different race teams that he worked for up until 2013. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2015. But have a look at Alec Purdy, and it's a very interesting read, a very interesting gentleman. So obviously, if he was the one that was building this car, obviously there's a lot of performance mods on it with the head, the cam, the headers, the carburetors. So that's kind of interesting that he may have had a hand in building this car. So that's number one. Number two was I managed to find an old appraisal document that came in the folder of receipts that came with this car. And this appraisal was dated the 29th of July 1992. It was done by a restoration shop called Doolin's Restorations. I don't believe they are around anymore. But anyway, the interesting part of this was that under the mechanical section it says the car was fitted with a high-performance motor with a gas-flowed head, high-lift camshaft, and Weber carburetors. It is blueprinted. So that's kind of interesting. So that's good to know that this engine has had obviously some attention to detail done to it when it was assembled. That's generally, I think, what blueprinting means. You know, everything is made to tight tolerances and double checked, best quality parts used, whatever. I mean, so that's a good thing to know, and I think I can see some of that here. Even on this broken piston, I can see that the pistons have been labeled. For instance, that's a number 4 piston, and I think that's part of the blueprinting process, is everything is sort of balanced, and like I said, all the tolerances are checked. So anyway, so that's a good thing. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you, and we'll continue on. So one of the other things I wanted to show you with this car is I was playing around here the one night, and if you recall, I had that little piece of metal that I found in the oil pan when I drug my fingers through there. So I thought it might be off the piston, so I've gone ahead and I've reassembled the piston, and I'm not sure if you can see it there, but there's the little tiny piece. Let me just remove this skirt piece, and this piece will probably fall out. So if I remove this piece, let me just drop this, and you can see this is the little piece that I found in the oil pan, and you can see just where that sort of fractured off there. So that probably started the whole process, that little piece fracturing out there, and then the whole bottom skirt dropped off. So I thought you might be interested in seeing that. So one of the other things I wanted to do this week is I wanted to run the casting numbers on the cylinder head that came off the car to make sure that it hadn't been swapped out for a later cylinder head. As I'm starting to order parts, there are some parts that are specific to the earlier head, like the head gasket, for example. Even though the later heads will fit, they'll take a different gasket. The port spacing is different on the later heads as well. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that I was ordering the right parts for this head. So like I said, I run the casting numbers and we do actually have an early head here, which is good. The other good thing is this is also, and it's kind of hard to see here, but maybe because of the sunlight. Let me see if I can get out of the sun. So this is also a Circle B head. You can see the B sort of, it's a little bit scuffed up, but Circle B are the preferred heads. They have a little bit more casting material, I think, so they're a little bit more preferred over the regular heads. Anyway, I don't know if that's a bit of folklore, but Circle B heads are the ones to have apparently, so that's a good thing as well. Anyway, I think what we're going to do today is we're going to attempt to clean the head up a little bit by doing some soda blasting, so we'll bring it back. Alright guys, so we've got the head out in the driveway, so you can see it in the sun. And the intent is to try and soda blast this to clean it up a little bit. I watched Ellen's video where he used the Scotch-Brite and WD-40 to clean this up, which looked like a lot of work. So we're going to attempt to soda blast it with this type of gun. And we haven't invested too much in this. This is $14. And we've got a couple boxes of baking soda. I think they're about $2 a piece. So we're going to try to soda blast this and see what happens. We do intend on actually removing the valves at some point as well, but I just wanted to try to clean the face of this up a little bit to get it looking a little bit better and a little bit less greasy. So let the blasting begin. So the soda blasting does work somewhat, but this is in conjunction with a brass brush, cup brush, and we're getting a lot of the carbon off the valves. But anyway, it's using a lot of soda, but it is coming off, so not a total failure. But we're probably better off to use a Scotch-Brite and some WD-40. Alright guys, it's looking a little bit better. We're just now trying to determine whether I've got any leaks in the valve seats. So I've got the ports, combustion ports filled up with water, and we're seeing if we got any leaks. We'll let that sit for a little bit and we'll come back and check it. So far so good. So no leaks after 10 minutes, so I think the valve seats are in pretty good shape. We'll probably just clean them up a little bit once we remove those valves. I'm not sure, like I mentioned, whether we're going to get this head rebuilt or not. This may wait until a later date, maybe in the winter time, for me to take the head off. That's no big deal. Done that many times, so we may just go back with this head if we think it's good, but we will find out a little more a little later. Hey, good morning guys, Tush coming at you. Sunday, May 21st, just coming after up to 11:10 a.m. And we are at T-minus 119 today, according to the calendar. Got a big day today. We've got Ellen Yakov coming up to visit us in the garage, so we're just awaiting his arrival. He should be here in a few minutes. And what we want to do today is we want to do some measurements on the block and on the crank, at least. I think we're going to try to pop the valves out as well. And we'll probably take a few other measurements here and there, probably the oil pump, and that'll help me to decide what parts to order going forward. So we're looking forward to the visit. Anyway, we'll talk to you in a bit. Alright guys, end of night update. It's now Sunday night about 8 p.m. Had a really nice visit with Ellen and his son Nikola, and measured the crank and the block, and we managed to remove the valve springs from the head and have a quick look at the valves. And so Ellen has recorded all the data for me here on his chart, so you can have another quick look at it. According to the manuals, it does look like we need to get the block board to plus 30. It's at plus 20 right now, but a little sloppy, so we'll need to get that probably machined out. As far as the crank is concerned, probably need to get that polished a little bit, but it doesn't look to be in too bad a condition. So anyway, just thought I'd give you a quick update. End of night. Sorry I didn't take any video of the visit, but we were pretty busy, so I thought it best we get the work done and not bother with taking videos. So I'm not going to say it's boring, but it's pretty tedious, I think, taking all those measurements. So anyway, that's it for tonight, guys. We'll get out here. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow afternoon. I do have to work tomorrow, so even though it's a stat holiday here. So I plan to go on to work for at least a few hours and then hopefully be out here tomorrow afternoon. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hey, good evening guys. Tush coming at you. Monday, May 22nd. It's Victoria Day in Canada, so happy Victoria Day. Just coming up to 10 to 6. Like I'd mentioned, I had work today, so only got a little bit of time to spend in the garage tonight. And we are at T-minus 118. Starting to get worried. Anyway, back on the engine this evening. And I thought I would maybe go over some of the numbers that Ellen and I discovered yesterday with this. So I'm going to move this book over and get comfortable, and we'll go through the book and plans for the future. Alright guys, hopefully I'm going to be able to explain this properly and sort of take you through what we did yesterday as far as measurements of the engine block, pistons, crank, etc. That were done yesterday. So this is Ellen's master page, let's say, of the piston bore measurements. So taken top, center, and bottom at 3 different locations. So what he's got here is number 1 cylinder, number 2 cylinder, and then we jumped over here number 3 cylinder, number 4 cylinder, number 5 cylinder, and number 6 cylinder. So there are the numbers there, and from there he extrapolated over here the size of the bores. So there you can see 1 through 6 as far as the numbers are concerned, and they're fairly consistent, as you can see. He also checked the taper, or was able to extrapolate the taper. So there are the taper numbers. So you can see that the highest is 0.0007, and my understanding is that the tolerance is, and again these are taken from a couple different sources, so 0.006 to 0.008 are the tolerances for that. So we're within the tolerance if you go to the 0.008, and obviously not if we're at the 0.006, because we have a couple that are 0.007. So anyway, pretty close on taper. This is the out of round measurement, and again the spec is 0.005. And as you can see here, we have a couple that are a little bit more than that, a couple of 0.0007s and 0.006s. So we are slightly out of round, but not too bad. Then we came to measurement of the pistons, which Ellen did for me. This number 4 was the broken piston, if you recall. It was a little bit difficult to measure. Anyway. From that we were looking at clearances and a couple different manuals. Again, I've looked at a Bentley, a Mitchell, and a what was the other one I looked at? The Haynes manual, and they all have different clearance information. So anyway, we're going to go with the average is 0.0027 for the Bentley and 0.0024 for the Mitchell. And anyway, you can see here what the clearances are, and these are pretty huge. As you can see, the broken piston was in number 4, and that was at 0.0075, and number 5, which had that sort of hairline crack, was at 0.0080, so that's the largest of them. So these are the plus over the average clearances, and you can see they're quite significant. So that leads me to believe that we're going to get into a larger piston, and we're going to have to get the block bored to plus 30 on the from a piston perspective. So just some numbers there to consider. Measured the crank as well, and the crank's actually not too bad. Again, I'm probably not going to be using this crank. There is the spec on the crank pins and then the crank journals. Mine are under 0.020 on the crank pins and under 0.010 on the journals, the mains. So I figured out where we're at using those figures, and Ellen's actually put the numbers in here as well. I've just extrapolated that a little bit further and brought that out by decimal points. But you can see we're very close actually on the numbers for the crank pins and for the journals as well. So not too far off. Like I mentioned on the crank, we're waiting for another crank anyway. So we'll have to measure that new crank when it comes. So I just thought I would share that information with you. If that, I don't know, some people might find that kind of interesting. I find it a little bit mind-boggling, so I'm glad that I had Ellen here to give me a hand with it. So anyway, we're going to move now on to parts ordering. I think I'm going to order, I've actually got an order in for the plus 30, the oversized pistons. Obviously that means that I'm going to have to go get the block board, so I'm going to have to do that fairly soon. As mentioned, I've got a new crank coming. I do have a new, other new things coming. I've got a new sealing block coming. As if you mentioned, I mentioned that one of the holes is stripped on this sealing block, so we've gone with a new sealing block, and that's on the way. It's actually at my mailbox already. Obviously, we're going to have to order new bearings as well. We're going to have to order a new camshaft. We're going to have to order new tappets. We're going to have to order probably new valves. We'll have to check those a little bit more in detail. Probably new timing chain. The list goes on. I can't recall all the parts we're going to need. New thrust washers we're going to need. So it's a pretty extensive list. So what we're going to do is we're going to order parts over the next little while. We're probably not going to do it all in one lump sum. I'd love to be able to if I was like a millionaire, but I work for a living, so we'll stretch this out over a few paychecks to make it seem a little bit less painful. But we'll get her done in the end. So what I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm going to probably pack up these parts carefully, bag them all, number them all, make sure I don't forget where things go, and we'll put them away in a nice fresh clean bin over here that we've got ready to go, and we'll bring them out as required. Alright guys, we'll come back in a bit. Alright guys, we have pretty much everything off of the block now, with the exception of I was going to try to get the oil gallery plugs out, and I got my hex head wrenches out, and they are in there pretty solid, so I'm going to let the machine shop do that if they want to take them out. So we'll leave those, we'll leave the freeze plugs, and let the machine shop take those out if they want to, which I'm sure they will, because I'm probably going to have this hot tank, so those will have to come out at some point. Other than that, everything else is out, with the exception of this little bush in here for the distributor. So I'm going to figure out how to get that out. I'm not sure if I just drift it out, but I don't want to break it because I don't think they're available. So I'm going to do a little research on that before I give it some muscle. Other than that, everything is away in the box. So there's an engine in a box basically, and just going to put the crank somewhere safe, and probably just clean up the oil pan and store that somewhere. Put the head somewhere safe. We'll probably wrap that in a plastic bag and fog it with some WD-40. The same for this block until I get the pistons, and until I can get it up to a machine shop. We'll probably just bag it, so make sure we don't get any crap in there, and we definitely don't want it to rust. So like I said, we're going to fog it down with some WD-40 or something similar. I think that's it for tonight, guys. I'm not sure how much content I have on this video. Probably not much at all. But I think we'll upload this in order to get a fresh start out here tomorrow. Not sure what we're going to work on, but it's not going to be engine related tomorrow, unless I'm just cleaning up that oil pan before I move on to something else. So that's it for tonight, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.